Derek, thank you. Amazing. Thank you. Start. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? We're even on time, I think. I think I'm 30 seconds early, which is good. It means I can ramble for a bit more in this session. But good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you, and to see this, even though I can't see many of you, I'm assured it's full. It's incredible, and to just, again, listen, I do listen back there. And hearing the stories when people talk about me, I always say it's like you're kind of listening to somebody at your funeral. And when they say things about you like that, it kind of makes your spine tingle a little. So thank you, Derek. And it's true, what I try to do is share with you life lessons, and do so in the hope that you will build a much better business because of that. If the business is strong, it's because you're strong. If the business is weak, it's because there's something that probably needs strengthening inside of you. And the two go hand in hand, and I figured that out about 10 years ago, that if I wanted to get past where I was at, not just financially, but to have more fun, to enjoy life, not to take it seriously, to stand on stage in front of 200 people dressed as Austin Powers, and go to dance lessons, which, by the way, I did. I take things seriously. How you do anything is how you do everything, right? So I paid for dance lessons to learn how to do that. So should I ask for my money back, or? Well, do you know what? My kids, we've had so much fun, and this is what I'm going to share with you. You know, you probably read the book. You might have read it. I don't know, right? Probably not. Might have read a chapter. But in the book, there's a story or a chapter on not taking life seriously. And as I get older, and as I, kind of just enjoy life more, I think that's one of the key things in life. Just don't take it too seriously. Like we do in these rooms. You're healthcare professionals, and we're kind of taught that we have to behave a certain way, we have to live a certain way, we have to act a certain way, and we have to look professional, and we have to do all of these things, and it just sounds like a lot of hard work to me, and I just think I'm out, right? I've opted out of the system, basically. Ironically, there's a spinal conference going on in this building. I think we've already had 10 people ask to join mine already, and we're anticipating that theirs will be empty by the end of the weekend, and ours will be full, because it's the typical healthcare kind of business conference, and it'll be all nice and polite and friendly, and they'll all be there'll be no language, and there'll be no swearing, and there'll be none of that stuff. And there'll definitely not be an Austin or a Dr. Evil or a Mini-Me or anything like that at their conference. So life, it's just about enjoying it and not taking it too seriously, and you can do that. And I genuinely think you can do that if you figure it out. You can't be reckless. You can't be, you can't just show up on stage if you've got nothing to kind of back it up with, and you can't just say you're going to build a business and you're going to kind of make $1 million if you're not going to go away and learn the skills and kind of figure out how to do that. So life is a journey. It's a non-stop, forever, figuring out who you are, what needs to be improved, what you're doing that's not contributing to your success, getting rid of it, eradicating things, being around the right people, being around smart people, making sure that you're surrounded by people who laugh, who giggle, who make you feel good about yourself, not people that pull you down, not people that pull you apart, not people that criticize you for having a go in life. If you can get around those people and you can make it a conscious effort, magic happens. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in your life. And if you do that, my experience has been, and that's all I ever try to share with you, my experience has been the business and the financial side of it's taking care of itself. Whenever I focused on finance only, other things show up. And maybe it's insecurities, or it's frustration, or it's a little bit of just, resentment, whatever, right? I'm focusing on this outcome, I'm focusing on this thing that I want. And whenever I go back to just focus on yourself, just have some fun, just enjoy life, do what you've got to do, be who you've got to be in that moment. If you have to learn something, go and learn it. If you have to hire somebody, go and hire somebody. If you have to step back and just take stock of things, don't be frightened to do it. If you have to admit you're wrong, right? Like whatever you have to do to get whatever you want. I think it's a wonderful journey that you're on, and business gives you a life lesson. It gives you a seminar in definitely in people, in making mistakes, in progress, in achieving things, in enjoying things. I think you can kind of take whatever you want from it, and if you focus on yourself and who you are, the business stuff. Oh my goodness, it's easy. It's so easy. It's untrue. Anyway, right, let's get into it. Can I get my slides, please? So, the best place to start is with the best thing about this whole thing. So this makes my life. You have no idea how much this makes my life. It lights my life up when I see this. So somehow there's a guy from Bolton in an OT clinic in Miami. So there's a guy who flew over 2,000, 3,000 miles on a flight to connect with a lady in Miami. Then there's a lady who flies from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, all the way to California, to San Jose, to catch up with Kevin Vandy and his family, and by the looks of it, has a fantastic weekend in the Redwood Hills. And then these two connect. And they go for 5 days on a wine-drinking tour of California. I suspect they didn't see much, except the bottom of a glass. That was the most respectable picture I found of you two. It was the best one, so you can thank me later. Then there's this. Then there's people. Carrie, you're everywhere, by the way, at this point, right? The trip in the summer, so that's Derek and his wife. Who else? Simon. Are you photobombing that, Simon? Simon's in there somewhere. There's Harry, my little boy. Is Harry in here? Harry, did they watch that? Are my kids in here, by the way? Or did they walk out? Did they walk out halfway through? Are you there, Tobias? I can hear you somewhere. Okay. I better keep the language down because he copies my language these days. So the teacher told me so. Anyway, Carrie's on there. Derek, I'm like, it's not even me. It's Natalie. It's fucking. She swears more than me at home. Carrie's not on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Carrie was somewhere else on this day. So this is in England. This is in my local cricket club. That's with Francisco. So another guy. Is Francisco here? Is Fran here? Not here. So Francisco was in the program for years. So there he is in Hartlepool. That's my mother. Looking very happy. There's alcohol on the table. Who else is there? Derek, his wife. There's Harry again, photobombing. So everything that we do, we've tried to bring you together, and this is the thing that I love the most, is we connect you. I genuinely believe you can't do it on your own, and life is so much better. The chances of you finding people that get you, that understand you, that just think like you, that see life like you, that see opportunity, that see good things, that see positive things, that even see positive in challenges and shit and frustration and COVID or whatever else. The chances of you coming across these people are slim. They're very rare. That's what this whole thing's about. It's a peer-to-peer community where we share frustrations, struggles. We can tell each other things that are happening that nobody else would get. And if we can do it over a beer, we can do it on a flight, we can do it in different countries, I think we've absolutely fucking nailed it, if I'm totally honest with you. And that's the best thing about this whole thing that we've done. So 1 year on from PPM, God, what a year. 3 big lessons. Number 1, accountability is the ultimate guardian of a great culture and growing of a business. I just can't tell you anything more important than accountability is the key. If I wanted, I had to get dancing lessons. I could have just put YouTube on every day and did some whatever, right? But we have to get somebody who holds us accountable to be there at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night in a studio somewhere in Orlando to do this thing and try to do it right. Even if it's shit, right? I've had a go. But we followed the principles. And if I do that at every point in my life, then I'm probably going to be all right. I disappeared for 3 or 4 months out of the business. Many of you know the story. If you don't, I'll bring you into it quickly. There was a little boy arrived in my life a little earlier than expected. That meant he had to stay in hospital for a little bit longer than we would have hoped. And by the time I got my head out of my ass, which was probably about April, there was people rogue everywhere in my business. And it brought it home to me that accountability, the minute your back's turned, the minute you're not looking, you'll see who's going to go rogue. You've got to get accountability baked into everywhere in your business. Every single place that I didn't hold somebody accountable through that 3 or 4 month period that it was my job to do, those 5 or 6 people went rogue. Number 2, when you know, you know. Said this in the pre-day yesterday. The biggest challenge for people moving from insurance to cash, they all think it's going to be the patients. It's not. It's the staff. It's your culture. It's the, we don't like this. It's the, I don't think we should do this. It's the, I'm not sure about this. It's the, how does this affect me? It's the, well, what about me? Do I have to follow a script? Well, what about this? What about that? And everything leads back to the patients, the biggest, the customers, the staff. Every challenge you're going to have if you look to migrate from heavy insurance to cash will be the culture. And I said to a few of them yesterday, you already know who you need to fire. And more fool you when you don't. And I'm talking to myself right now. When you know, you know. You know right now there's people in the business who are holding you back. You know right now there's people who should have been fired months ago and you won't do it. I wrote this slide for myself. Every person that ultimately didn't perform a workout was identified or flagged early as being a problem and should have gone faster. Trust your judgment and act faster, Paul. That is the biggest lesson I'm taking into 2024. Everything was right. The good news is I was right. That's the best bit. I got it wrong in the execution level, but I was absolutely right. So my diagnostic skills were right. And I always think that's the hardest thing. What's the hardest thing with patients? The diagnosis. The treatment's easy. There's no point being really good at the treatment if you've got the wrong diagnosis. In business, if you get the diagnosis right, you've got a really good chance. The real point of the problem was to make future problems easier to deal with. I wrote about this in the book. People see problems as like these moments in time that keep them stuck, and they have to worry about them, and they have to feel sorry for themselves because of it, and it's woe betide me, and why me, and why me, why me. When you get your head up over it and you go, do you know what? The point of that problem was to make future problems easier. I figured out how to deal with that. And if I can figure out how to deal with that one, I'll deal with the next one. I don't know if Richard's in the room. Is Richard in the room, Natalie? Not yet. So my cousin's around. My cousin, some of you, I told the story. I went to LA a few weeks ago to get some treatment on a hip problem to see Jason and his team, and I think Jesus is in here. They were brilliant. I looked on Facebook or Instagram the night before, and I seen that my cousin, who I hadn't seen for 15 years, since his dad's funeral, was in Los Angeles. So I haven't seen this kid since he was 9. And he messages me straight back. He said, yeah, I've got one more night. I said, great, I'll be there. Wherever you are, I'm coming to see you. Let's catch up. So I went to see him, and I said, look, you're always welcome in my home. I said, we haven't seen each other for 15 years. His dad was my uncle. He's actually the guy on the front cover of the To Sell Is Healthy book, the guy I did the dedication to. Huge mentor in my life, and just a source of belief like I've never experienced from anybody else. So I said, look, your home's my home. I said, the way your dad helped me and everything else, I said, like, we're mates for life. Like, anything you want, you make sure you come and see me. So he texted me a few days later, and he said, I'm thinking of coming back to America. Can I stay with you for a bit? I said, absolutely. The house is open. There's the key. Do whatever you want. So we went for a beer the other night, and I said to him, you know what? You're doing so well in your life. His dad died at 9, and his mum died at 14. Right? Deal with that. No brothers and sisters. Boom. I said, you can go one way or the other way. You can be miserable, you can be sad, you can be angry, you can be resentful, you can want to fight people, and you can want to be angry, and you can spend your whole life going, but that happened to me, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. You can do that if you want. I said, or you go, do you know what? There's probably not much more shit that life can throw at me. I'm going to have a really good fucking time from here on out. There's not much more that kid can experience, right? And if he sees it that way, anything that comes his way now is irrelevant. Everything is irrelevant after this for him. Nothing can hurt him anymore. Nothing can make him feel sad. Yeah, there'll be moments, but nothing can really get that kid down if he leverages that situation. And it's horrendous when you hear it. But you have a choice. As I said to him, you have a choice. You can be angry. I said, or you can leverage the fact that you figured out very early how to depend upon yourself. Not many people are going to come along now and ever be able to hurt you. And if you don't focus on that, I think you're missing the point. And every one of you have got those situations. I've got those situations. It had to happen to get to this point. I had to go through that to get to this point. Now, I've been through that. What are you going to throw at me that's even close to that? How can you possibly hurt me now? How can you possibly make me feel down? You can't. I figured out how to overcome some pretty serious shit in my life. Situations I would never have fucking chose in a million years. But I figured out how to get back up and go again. So when the next problem comes along, I'll call on that resilience and I'll say, do you know what? I've done this before. I've had this problem before. I've had something that looks like this, something that smells like this, something that made me feel insecure, something that made me feel weak or vulnerable, not want to get out of bed, miserable, angry, whatever. I've been here before. And I figured out how to get over it. The point of the problem is to make future problems easier to deal with, not to whinge and cry and woe betide me. The best advice I've been given in the last 12 months, eradicate anything or anyone that dilutes the magic. You're the magic. You are the magic. You are the creativity. You are the ideas. You are the energy. You are the source of everything that's good in your life, everything that's probably good, all of the inspiration in your family, in your business, people that want to hang out with you. You're the source of all of that. Eradicate every fucker who tries to take any of it away from you. Damon John said it more succinctly last year. Well, it was a bit more candid probably. I delete somebody from my phone list every year. I delete a friend every year because they're not keeping up. They're not keeping up with how much I want to enjoy life. They're not keeping up with my view of life. They're not keeping up with what I want to achieve. And every minute I spend with them, I'm going to be dragged down. Eradicate anything, any frustration, any resistance, anybody that just makes you, oh, do I have to speak to you? You hang about with Sophie for the next few days, she'll tell you what I've been like for the last 6 months, eradicating everything, selling businesses, getting rid of shit, getting rid of all sorts of stuff that just lets me focus on the magic. This. I can't do this, right? If you've laughed today and you've taken anything from this that is over and above a business conference that makes you think, do you know what, I can have a bit more fun in my life. I can enjoy my life a bit more. I can arrive at work and not take it too seriously. I don't have to worry about what I wear, what I look like, what people think about me, what my patients think of me for not having the right clothing on, or what my family might think if I don't dress appropriately at the next meeting or the next family gathering, whatever. The point of all of this is to show you that you can do that, right? But if I'm constantly fighting with members of staff and I'm tolerating sloppiness, somebody quit recently because I said, let's not get sloppy. That tells you where we've dropped to. And I was accused of speaking to them inappropriately because of sloppiness. I said, how else do you term sending an email with the wrong fucking links to a conference that people are trying to buy a conference ticket for? How else do I define that? You can't send an email with the wrong links to the wrong page for people to buy a ticket for a conference and not expect me to think that that's sloppy. You're lucky that I didn't hit the fucking roof, right? I'm actually being quite nice and polite with sloppy. But those are the people that will dilute the magic. Friends will dilute the magic. Family will dilute the magic. Situations you've got yourself into that you need to get out quickly will dilute the magic. And if you can get rid of that frustration, get rid of those things in your life, you have more chance of the creativity, more chance of this type of thing happening in your life. The bigger business, the opportunity that you can't see right now because you're consumed by all of the things that are frustrating you. And that's where most people spend most of their day. It's just fighting fires. How quickly can you eradicate anything or anybody that dilutes the magic that you've got? And you are the fountain of it all. Everything that's good about your business, everything that's good about the home, the energy, the fun, the vibrancy, you have to claim that. That's your job. It's nobody else's. You can't look at your wife, your partner, your kids. It's your job to do that. And if that's my job, then I have to eradicate all of the stuff that threatens any of that. So just because Marcus has $1 billion doesn't mean he knows everything about popcorn. You know you're in trouble when you start the phrase with, just because he's got $1 billion. This was on an episode I watched. We've been watching them every night with the kids. And Natalie have been getting into bed every night. I've been watching Marcus for years and going back through some of the episodes. He's just amazing. I can't wait for you to meet him this afternoon. But this came out, and the lady, he was criticizing the way she ran the business, right? And he said, this is not good enough. Like, this is not happening, this is not happening. And the lady said, well, just because you've got $1 billion, it doesn't mean you know everything about popcorn. He doesn't need to know about popcorn. He needs to know who buys it, how they buy, how to hire people to build a strong company to scale it, how to price it, and how to manage the cash flow. The popcorn's the really easy bit. And by the way, so is the treatment side of physical therapy. You spend 90% of your time thinking about how to be a great physical therapist, you'll be a great physio. You spend 10% of your time how to be a great business owner, you'll be a dreadful business owner. It doesn't work any other way. If you want to achieve a big goal, you need to kill off any entitlement you feel and take massive action on specific activities that will move you towards achieving it. I've been in business for 10 years. This should have happened by now. I've worked 15 hours a day. This should have happened by now. Are we working on the right things? Are we doing the right things? Are we avoiding the big decisions? Are we committing to marketing, to hiring? Or are we going into the office, closing the door, and getting busy? The hardest part is to keep going when it doesn't always go as planned. I'll give you 2 examples. The hardest thing about these seminars is the first month when nobody's buying tickets. And everybody in the office is like, oh shit, is this going to work? Is this room going to fill? And you've got your ass on the line for a lot of money. You've just hired Marcus Lemonis, and it's a nice check. And nobody's buying tickets. And everybody in the office is asking, is this going to work? What should we do? The hardest part is to keep going. The hardest part of the diet is when you first start. You get on them scales, 2 weeks later, you still haven't lost any weight. You keep going. How do you keep going? Then all of a sudden you start to lose a bit of weight. Boom, let's go. Doesn't it get easier towards the end? The seminar, the first ticket comes in, oh, we're off. And then we get to 10, then we get to 20. Right, guys, let's go. Come on, let's do more. Bang. And as the momentum builds, all of a sudden, more and more focused, more and more committed. Boom, all of a sudden the tickets start coming in. The hardest part is to keep going when it doesn't always go as planned. Love this. This is going to sum up your life. Hard decisions, easy life. Easy decisions, hard life. Choose wisely. Chapter in the book, I think it's chapter 10, the hard thing about big decisions. In the end, decisions will shape your life. If you take the easy road all the time, you will end up a shadow of the person that you intended to be. You will never, ever, I genuinely believe nobody knows the day that they woke up and went, when the fuck did all this go wrong? There's very rarely a day. What there is a series of micro opportunities and decisions in the past where I said, I knew I needed to hire that person. I knew I needed to raise those rates. I knew I needed to fire that person. I knew I needed to change the business model. I knew it. But I took the easy road. And because I took the easy road, I've got a really hard life now. I've got debt. I've got frustration. Everywhere I look, doors are closed. I'm not as healthy as I would like to be. I don't see my kids as much as I would like to see. I'm working harder and harder, but nothing's happening. I took lots of easy decisions. But if I make some big, hard decisions that feel really difficult at the time, I end up with a pretty easy life. I end up with a very fun life. So if you're below the line, you've got frustration, misery, poverty, a life of regret and blame. Candidly, most of society. If I'm above the line, I've got freedom, I've got wealth, I've got contentment, I've got enjoyment, and I've got purpose. The common denominator is the big, hard decision. The hard thing about big decisions is the risk that comes with them. If you get comfortable with risk, you've got a chance. If you can't, you'll stay stuck.